So, welcome to Gaule's Question Time. I've got the pleasure again of being joined by a real expert in some of the challenges and opportunities of implementing AI. So, hi, Dev.
Hi, Andrew. Nice to meet you and great to be here.
Good to see you again. So, could you
Yeah,
give our audience a brief intro to yourself, please, and your background?
yeah, sure, pleasure. As I'm Devendra Sharma, people know me by the name, they call me Dev. I'm the Chief Data and AI Officer here at Exadel. We are a small consulting and company, and we are obviously niche in terms of what we provide to our clients in terms of data and AI. I come from a very strong data and AI background. I actually started in telecoms, which was with Samsung. But over the years, I grew in that role, and because of my background in mobile telecoms and data and architecture, I used those skills and moved towards data and AI probably 15 years ago, and started doing work on AWS. And my first role in data and the cloud environment was at Royal Mail. Follow that, I basically moved into HSBC, where this is where actually my actual growth was happened quite fast, and I became a global head for data and analytics at HSBC. 5.5 years after HSBC, I had a pleasure to join one of the most amazing company called BCG. I had a very good time at BCG for 3.5 years. Once again, heading their global data and analytics capability, and this is where I was introduced to AI, uh, the Gen AI and the other aspects of AI. And it was very exciting because, as you could imagine, BCG being one of the big fours, or rather big top two, adopted AI and Gen AI quite aggressively, and I benefited by that. And then came this opportunity, which I always wanted to do, wanted to become Chief Data and Analytics Officer, which is where Exadel came in. And yeah, here I am. My role here is essentially building the data and AI strategy, not only for us as an organization, but for more importantly, for our clients. Me and my team help our clients to build the operating model for their organization. Somebody who's starting the data AI journey from the very beginning, we help them to build the data and AI strategy. We also help them to adopt AI because, as we'll talk along, you will hear from me, Andrew, it's very easy to talk AI, but believe me or not, there are people who still cannot spell AI properly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you know what I mean by that,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, that's one of the area. And then obviously me and my team also help into the implementation and delivery of the data and AI solutions. So yeah, this is where we are, and this is what I do. And yeah, I'm very
Right.
excited to be here and talking to you today.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's a great overview of the depth and breadth and many years of experience you've got getting into that. And I can really empathize or understand as well, but why organizations need to get this data stuff right, get their
Yeah.
processes right. But let's take a step back because I think there's a lot of people at the moment, as you sort of mentioned, that can barely spell AI, no more understanding what they're sort of doing. So
Yeah.
I'm seeing a number of places now that organizations say, oh, we're doing AI because they're using ChatGPT or they're using Copilot. Give us a bit more of a perspective of what AI is rather than it just being ChatGPT or just having Copilot installed.
Yes, absolutely. And it's a good way to start, because just let's go into the basics of it. Um, People think that AI is something which will do the work for them automatically and magically, right? It's not like that. It still is the case where you need to tell or instruct something called, we can call it an intelligent model. You can call it foundational models or LLMs or AI models or what are things. It's an algorithm which is sitting at the background. You need to tell that algorithm or instruct that algorithm in a way so that it understands and what it does, right?
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is this is where the issue, this is where the confusion is, or this is where misunderstanding is, that you think that you will just basically think whatever you want, and AI will do this for magically for you in terms of efficiency, in terms of automation, or in terms of some of the workflows automation, for example, right? Or you could even go and say predictions and in areas like that. So AI for you is something which is where you provide the necessary inputs in a right way and essentially then get the efficiencies and whatever the expected output is. So let me give you a couple of good examples in that case. This is what, or maybe two, three good examples. Let's take an example of pizza, right? You can build a machine which can basically bake pizza for you automatically. Or you might think that okay, we'll replace the chef, great chef, right? Who basically bakes the pizza. Let's assume for the moment that is true, right? Instead of a chef, you have something now which will basically bake the pizza as amazing as you could think of, right? But even then, for to bake the pizza, you need the right ingredients. It won't do magic. It won't go and create a great piece of, for example, cheese or vegetable or whatever the ingredients you're using for your pizza, right? That will not automatically just generate from somewhere. That means you still need to provide those kind of inputs and the great quality of those materials or that sort of ingredients, right? You could provide the ingredients which are not incomplete in nature, or you can provide them which is not in great quality, right? I don't need to explain you, Andrew, and to your audience what will be the output in such case. And
Yeah,
that is what the basic problem with the AI at the moment is. People think that, okay, you know what? I have found this machine now where I don't need this great chefs who's charging me so much money. And also they are producing only one pizza in every 5 minutes, 10 minutes. This machine can bake pizza for me, five pizza in 10 minutes or whatever it is, the efficiencies and also things, but the customers may not like it because the ingredients and the quality and all those things are not, you haven't thought about it.
yeah, yeah,
Why? So that's the important part of it. The other aspect is, I always give example to my clients and essentially to various people I speak to is everybody wants to have a Ferrari parked at their door. Who doesn't want Ferrari in their life? Maybe some don't, but most of them, right? If I
yeah,
give you an option, Andrew, do you want a Ferrari? And you'll say, yes, why not? But the main thing is you have to understand A, how much it will cost you to run it. B, do you have the right fuel to run it? Do you have the right tires? Do you have the right platform or road to run it? If you
yeah,
have a road with full of speed bumps and holes and also potholes and everything, it will be parked at your driveway and you will never be able to achieve efficiency. So basically what's I mean, I see exactly AI like that, right? People wants to build this great kind of unbelievable stuff which you think works greatly, but you have to understand the cost, you have to understand the inputs and essentially how do you build the architecture and how you build the necessary ecosystem around it. That's very important, and that's how I define AI to everybody,
yeah. No, I think there's a fantastic analogies there for the ingredients rather than being generic slop. You
Yeah.
need the ingredients and the content and the data, which is very relevant for you, your industry, and your business customers and sort of stuff like that. I think that's a fantastic analogy.
Mm.
And yeah, and I think the analogy of the Ferrari or car or sort of stuff like that, it's you don't need a Ferrari for going down to the shops or doing a
Correct.
standard AI process, right? There are things you can do first rather than expecting it's going to be this all singing, all dancing.
Yeah.
Um,
And and I think you said it's something really, really, really important and interesting. You don't need a Ferrari to go around to the high street or down the road for to grab something because that's a way. So that is another thing which is people needs to understand, organization needs to understand. You don't need AI for everything,
mhm.
right?
Yeah,
There are areas where you still need humans. There are areas we still need other processes and other capabilities. And you don't fit an AI in everything,
yeah,
right? I mean, you cannot. We hear this a lot in England and in various other places as well. If you try to fit the square pegs in round or other way around, whatever it is that it's you're not going to achieve what you want to achieve. So be
yeah,
careful. Find the right use cases for your AI journey.
yeah. So, can you give us some examples from your experience of how leaders should frame this and go through the strategic view of how they should use AI and how they should review the processes they should be looking at? Have you got some examples of where you've seen this work well and where it could have gone badly?
Yes. So I mean, as I said to you, like, strategically go, if you see the leadership around various organizations, some leadership try to put the gun at their head, gun to their, leadership head and say, hey guys, go and adopt AI no matter what it is, and here's the money, right?
Perspective.
Yes. So essentially, one of the most important things I've observed that 70, 80% of the organizations where leadership wants to adopt AI and they basically aggressively go into this process, but they haven't identified, as we were talking about, right? Do you need an AI for a certain specific thing? And what I mean by that is, do you have the right use cases or areas where you will think you will basically implement or adopt an AI for that particular process, or let's call it a use case or initiative, whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
And in some cases they have the right use case or initiatives defined, and they think, oh, these are the 5 or 6 areas we could apply AI, but they don't know the business value for those use cases or initiatives, right? And also and most of the cases I have also come across a situation where they don't know, even if they say, let's, oh, we will achieve 30% efficiency in this particular case if you apply the AI, how are you going to measure that efficiency?
Yeah, yeah,
Are there measurable business outcome? That is the hardest part, right? So this is where I think the leaderships and then at various organizations, especially that our clients we see, and this is where essentially we come in and play a very important role. And what I've seen over the years is that, you know, let's first understand your business processes and IT processes.
yeah,
Let's first understand your business model. Let's first understand what are your objectives going forward. Business objectives is what I mean, right? And then you scratch the surface a little bit and go slightly deeper into it, and then around that, find out the real areas where organization or can gain, whatever they need to gain in terms of the business value by adopting AI or deploying AI.
yeah,
And essentially then see if you can measure those outcomes and the objectives you have achieved through the AI. And that's how the process I always advise to my clients to follow.
yeah,
If you don't have the use cases, or if you have a use case, if you don't have the business value defined, and if you have the business value defined, but if you don't know how to measure them, take a step back, think about it before you move forward.
yeah,
That's one of the example I give to everybody, and clients who has tackled this well in the beginning, I have seen has basically have made more success than essentially than the others, and also I have seen that they were able to adopt AI. I'm not saying successfully, I would say fairly comfortably, right? That's what I would say,
yeah,
because you have to understand adoption of AI and scaling the AI in your organization. You have to think in that way as well, not just take an AI, build this expensive model, consume money on then, and you deliver one AI use case, and yes, it is giving you the business case and it was giving you the value, but what about the next then?
yeah,
Where
yeah,
is the scalability? Can you scale it,
yeah.
right? And that's important.
Yeah, yeah, no. So great important points there around
Hmm.
reviewing the process, and I think the challenges, of, as you said, of measuring those benefits. But just what I suppose a bit of pushback or challenge I'd have there as well from
Hmm.
what we're seeing. I think that if you're just going to try and use AI just to make your current process more efficient,
Hmm.
the analogy that I've seen with others organizers say is that you're just going to concrete over where the cows have walked before, right? You're just trying to automate the
Yeah.
process that was there. But now with AI, it can do things that you couldn't do before and it can do it more efficiently. So just in my simple example with this podcast, for example, I've been
Yeah.
doing this podcast for 15 years or something now.
Mm,
15 years ago, we would do the interview on a dictaphone. It would get typed up, and I'd have a few pages of A4, and I'd have an MP3 file.
mm,
Now, using AI just to automate that process, yes, it could have been done faster, but now the AI, for me, it creates summaries, it creates snippets, it creates video editing and sort of stuff like that. So AI now can do things that we couldn't do before. And I think for a lot of organizations, there's a dilemma or a challenge there about sort of saying, well, okay, yes, we could have done what we were doing before more
mm.
efficiently, but you could still spend the same amount of time and the same amount of money, but the product could change radically.
Yes.
So how do organizations and lead, because leaders have to think about how they're going to do that and then how the organization is going to change, right?
Yeah, this is the most amazing and one of the most important points you have raised because, and I'm going to contradict myself slightly now based on what I just said. Well, maybe not contradict, but just maybe
Just
explain
building on it.
myself a little bit. Like, as I said, right, you have identified the use case or whatever it is and the value as well, and you go and implement AI. And I think, and you have seen the efficiency, let's say, for example, right? But is this the right way to do it? I think you gave a really great example of walking this path, right? So let's assume for a moment you have a business process where you go from A to B, and the business process going from A to B is some of the aspects of that process is either not efficient or not useful. Let's if I take a little bit of a technical example, let's assume for a moment every organization, no matter who you are, financial, retail, or whatever, every organization has got some reporting to do, right?
Yeah.
For their auditing, for their business, and also things. So let's assume for the moment you build 10 reports, right? And those reports are for risk or for auditing, for finance or whatever it is, right? For sales and everything, right? Or depending on who you are as an organization. Out of those 10 reports, 6 or 7 reports are either producing output which is not efficient or not useful or not giving the enough information to to the consumers or who the consumers of the reports, or they are not either used at all,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Now imagine you apply an AI. Those reports take less than 10 days to build. For example, right? It could be
Yeah.
anything, but let's for just for the sake, AI will build that in less than a few hours.
Yeah.
What you have done, you've done the same process, and some organizations say, "Oh wow, we have gained efficiency." Well, you haven't. You are still producing the rubbish which you were producing in 10 days. Now you're producing. So basically, you are started to produce the rubbish faster.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe rubbish is not the right word, but
Yeah. But
you
we
see what I
understand.
mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It wasn't
you're
necessarily the
producing
right
the
thing
same.
anyway.
You're producing the same thing which you're producing in 10 days now in 5 days. So essentially, what you're saying is you're producing some output which is not that desirable quicker. Is that a success? I will let even anybody will understand what I
Yeah.
mean by that. It's not a success, right?
Yeah.
So coming back to your point, right? When you start to work on AI, identify the use case, you know you are going from A to B. Think, is B your final destination?
Yeah.
Or whether that B can change. That's number one, right? The second thing is when you're going from A to B, what path are you taking, right? Is that path you're taking in the past, like for example, building 10 reports and also, is it the business? And what I mean by that is if it talks in terms of, is your business process correct? Do you want to implement AI in the existing business process? So what I say to my clients is think before you apply AI to business process automation or any efficiency gain, for example, right?
Yeah.
This is a great opportunity for you to redefine
Yeah.
or to your business processes and then apply AI on top of that, right? Don't apply AI on the existing business process. Apply AI when you redefine
Yeah. Yeah.
define and this is where you will gain the maximum efficiency, right?
Yeah.
And that's the most interesting and the most important part for organizations to understand,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the big challenge organizations and executives have at the moment is they don't know what they don't know, right? In
Yeah.
the that they haven't necessarily seen the power of what AI can do. Back 2, 3 years ago, I started running programs just when GPT first came out because I had that wow experience, partly like when you sort of talked about in your introduction. I had that wow sort of experience, and then I then started running some programs for executives to try some of it. It's summarizing documents,
Mm,
creating audio files, creating videos, and having the interaction and that with the videos. And with Dennis Bidanos, who we've
mm,
been founding members of an angel investment group, and we
mm,
started going over 2 years ago having AI analyze pitch decks and having
mm,
creating so instead of it helped to automate part of the process, but also now AI was able to analyze a lot more data, bring in more information from previous experiences, connect us with investors that have done these things before, and I think could radically change the business model. And we've written about those sorts of things. So, but unless you understand a bit more about what AI can potentially do, it's really challenging for executives or people in organizations because they just think or it's just another computer or sort of stuff like that. Having that mind shift about how it could be an AI worker, how it could redo processor, how it could augment what your current people can do, that becomes a big challenge for organizations, and they learn.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is where comes the strategy and knowledge and information. Like people like yourself, Denise, myself, and other people like us in the organizations or in the industry out there helps to organizations to understand, overcome those challenges, right? It's as I said to you in the beginning or a few minutes ago that you know, everybody wants to become an AI company. If you speak to the most of the CEOs or CTOs or CIOs or they all want to become an AI company. So one of our client we are working with at the moment is the CEO is quite aggressive, and he wants to see his company to be an AI first company, right?
Mm.
And they're a customer facing company, publicly listed and also things. And so obviously, but they have a challenge because they have audits and everything. So on one side, they want to become an AI first company, but on this other side, they want to be compliant as well. Meaning everything they do, there needs to be essentially do in a way which is, compliant, auditable,
Yeah,
and doesn't produce the risk. And this is where one of the most important aspect for any organization is that, as I said to you, understand the business processes and IT processes, but at the same time, also understand where you think you can start adopting AIs to start with. So, for example, there are areas like document summarization and essentially, building some knowledge base. Areas where you can start fairly easily. Like we all know, every organization has got wealth of knowledge sitting, depending on you or whom you are,
yeah,
but irrespective of what sort of sector the industries are. Like, for example, my own organization and in my previous organization as well, we had a wealth of knowledge sitting. How do I go and find this knowledge? Can I spend hours and hours in finding and selecting and searching for that information? Or can I just basically request or type in a user interface, hey, give me this so and so, which I've done, basically, which was done in so and so time with so and so background, X, Y, whatever the information I want to put in. And if I can get that information in seconds rather than hours,
yeah,
that is a good start, right? And these are some of the areas where the adoption of AI or the process of starting your journey into AI could start with,
yeah.
because these are straightforward areas where you must try to adopt AI and essentially build some solutions on AI for your organization, and then you slowly start scaling up. You slowly start understanding where else the areas where you can enable your company to become use an AI. Because one of the things I will also add is sometimes you can, and we'll come to that in a moment, probably the agents and also these new things these days. You can aggressively go and invest money on, putting some of these AI capabilities like agentic AI solutions and also things. But we also know at this moment of time, if these agents goes uncontrolled, they can do havoc for you,
Yeah.
right? And you could be a very huge risk, and you might not be compliant. You might fail your audits, for example, right? So yeah, I mean, it's a process where people with knowledge and experience comes in. This is where the strategy comes in. This is where the consulting and advisory comes in. Whoever that person is in the organization has to take that role and essentially
Yeah.
advise the CEOs and others in the right way.
Yeah. No, great. And I think going back to some of your analogies you've used, I think those are important, right? It's the understand that strategy and thinking about it from your data point of view, thinking about your processes, thinking about which people you're going to have in the organization, which pilot programs they're going to do. And I think
Yeah.
you've highlighted quite nicely there the governance and the risk sort of issues that you need to be aware of as you're going through that process. But I'm generally very excited about this stuff, right? Yeah, and I'd like to judge your feeling. For me, what I've been seeing over the last 3 years is that AI can really augment what we're doing. And as I said, it can provide different services and new sort of type services. I don't see it removing people from jobs. Not in a long time yet, because I
Mm.
think there's going to be a lot of additional things that we can do to enhance our service and become more competitive, because others are going to do those types of things. So
Yeah.
where do you think the trajectory is going, for organizations or for society, and that with AI to close things off? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question. There is no doubt that AI will take some of the jobs, right? But I give you a very, very simple example, right? I saw this video a few years ago and I was fascinated by it. This video is making this machine is making potato chips, right? And I saw this video. What happens is that these lots of potatoes in these bags, dirty from the field comes in, and this they just drop it, and then the machine cuts it, and it's all these potatoes with mud and soil and all those things in. So it goes through the process. A machine comes in, washes it, and then it goes through the 2 or 3 cycles. It becomes clean. Then it goes into some of the machine where it boils or cleans or whatever it does it, and then comes a machine which cuts it, and then so basically this potato making process, or sorry, the chips making process is actually in one video, and it's going with a different state, all done by machine, no human involved. Okay. Now you would, so obviously a few years ago, and even now, you hear you buy some potato packet of crisp and it says handmade,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Sometimes they say it, maybe I don't know whether they still say it, but few days ago.
yeah, yeah,
But the point I'm trying to make is that yes, it has taken those humans who used to do it by hand in the past, has basically these machines have taken over that job. Is it efficient? 100%. Is it equally as good? Maybe. I don't see the diff. I don't know. I mean, if somebody gives me two chips, two potato crisp in one hand, and one is made by human, one is made machine, which one would be better? I don't know. I've not done that analogy yet. I've not done the comparison. But the point I'm trying to make to and coming back to your question is, will the AI do augment stuff? 100%. It will augment many things, and we can go through some more examples as we go through. But will it take some of the jobs? Yes, it will take some of the jobs away. But will this mean that humans will lose their capacity or capabilities to do jobs in other areas? Probably not. Like some same people who were doing the making the potato chips in by hand in the past are doing something else now,
yeah,
maybe something better compared to this laborious process of uh,
yeah, yeah,
and even going even before there were machines. Previously, people used to lift things by hand, or what, but now you see these machines does it and also things, right? So same thing will happen with AI, right? There
yeah,
are areas, and humans themselves will appreciate it. Um, we work with many clients, and especially in my past as well. Let's take an example of law firms, right? These solicitors and these lawyers spend hours and hours and hours to going through these documents and essentially highlighting them, summarizing them, this and that, taking the important points out of this. Now they can do it in minutes, right? Ask the question from the AI application, and they would rather spend time on something else than rather going through the hundreds and thousand pages of the
yeah, yeah,
document. So they appreciate it, right? So
yeah,
previously, let's say you could hire 5 people to go through the document. Now you don't need this. Basically, you can, but those 5 people will do something else, right?
yeah, yeah,
And but that's why we will find out. So you must have heard of this thing like human in the loop,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Let me give you a very, very good example of where, and I think it will answer your questions to the point. Software development lifecycle is the most biggest, what do you call it, the innovation
the
via
disruptions
AI,
happening with the AI. Yeah,
which is the biggest thing AI has taken over, right? Writing the code is one of the most amazing thing, which where AI is just taking the leap, and this is the biggest area of growth from AI perspective, or if not growth means where people are adopting the highest. Let's put it this way, right? I know, for example, our own client, one of our client, they basically put the stuff, and this machine runs overnight or whatever it is, and it generates the code. People come back in the morning, the code is ready, or maybe it comes a few hours later, the code is ready. But here is the important point. That means so the people who are writing the code before may not be required. Let's say we were 10 people who were writing the code before, but maybe now you need 5, right? But here is the very interesting thing. Humans needs to sit down to create a very great space of instruction and
Yeah, yeah,
architecture and everything.
yeah,
Same going to that input, right? Going our beginning of the example.
yeah,
It come back to the same thing, right? And then they fill in everything, they fill everything, and they give the instruction and they go away, come back. This AI model has written the code for you. If your instructions, if your architecture, if your inputs were absolutely right, the code will be good. If those things were not great, the code will be rubbish.
yeah,
So
yeah,
here is where humans are spending their time.
yeah,
That
yeah,
means now more humans are doing on this one.
yeah,
That's one thing. The second thing is, and this is what people ignore. People think, oh, wow, my code is written in 15 minutes, 1 hour, or one night now before it used to take 10 days. But somebody got to review that code, right? So previously this code, so that means that with the code which is coming at you with the speed of this generation of the code is far more higher than it was before. That means your speed of reviewing the code is equally should be matchable. Otherwise, you're just killing the
yeah,
whole
yeah,
purpose,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so you might say, oh, I'll apply AI for that as well.
yeah,
Okay. But then somebody needs to then merge. Imagine if you put something, you miss something, and you put that into production. And if it's especially a banking organization or some other sensitive organization, you can create. Can you imagine what you if that genie is not put back into the bottle?
yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah,
all these things, yes, augmentation is there, but so there will still be areas where people will move from coding to something else.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah, and I very much agree with you on that, and I like your food analogies here. So to go back
Yes,
to your potato chip example,
yes,
as you said, the law firm type example, they don't want to be reviewing documents that can now be done more efficiently. I don't want to be washing potatoes and chopping them and all of that. I
yeah,
want to spend my time thinking about what other sort of experiences the customer could have in my restaurant or in my shop with
correct.
potatoes, with crisps, with different flavors and sort of stuff like that, right?
Mm.
And it's similar with the example where Dennis and I've been working in investment plan sort of reviews for startups. We don't want to spend our time going through dozens and dozens of pitch decks and reviewing them when they're not appropriate where we can help.
Yes,
We want that washing, that cleaning, the getting them ready, and then we can then review them and we can then help the entrepreneurs and we can be involved in helping them with their product development, their HR, their resourcing and sort of stuff like that. And we can do that augmented bit. So I think there is great potential here to be able to, for people to rethink what they're doing because now the AI can do things a lot faster, a lot
yeah,
more cheaply. Washing potatoes, using your analogy, washing a lot more potatoes, being able to chop them more,
yeah,
then we can be used in areas which are much more added value, which we couldn't and didn't have the time to do in that before.
yeah,
Is a fantastic.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if you look at my own example where I have used AI quite aggressively in the last at least couple of years, is I come from a very strong data and AI and consulting background. So I love even now I'm in this consulting organization. So I love advising and consulting and also things. And for that, I prepare materials, a lot of materials. So I have all these ideas, and based on the inputs I've got, so I'm preparing something. I can dump all this information in whatever what I'm preparing, whether it's a document, proposal, or a PDF or a slide deck or whatever it is, right? But I don't have to spend hours and hours in beautifying it, finding the right word. I mean, as good as I could be in my communication, or one could be, but you want something which is resonates with the audience, the kind of audience you're speaking
yeah,
to,
yeah,
right? I can do that now using with the help of AI, and there's nothing wrong in it. I think it's fantastic. I can give an instruction to the AI, hey, listen, this is what I'm done. Can you make it more visual? Or can you review the content and so is the audience? Can you make it more business friendly, for example, right? And it will come back to me with suggestions. Now it's up to me. If I'm stupid, I will take those suggestions blindly,
yeah,
right? Well, maybe I don't know what's the right word, but yeah, I could do two things. I can take those suggestions blindly and don't worry about the repercussions and the output, or I can review that and say, you know what, okay, these are the suggestions. And but it still has basically provided me some sort of options and efficiency, and essentially my life becomes easier. But
yeah,
that does not necessarily mean that I can if somebody gives me an input, somebody gives me business requirement, and I put something in the ChatGPT or whatever the AI put, it will yes, it will generate something. I'm not suggesting it will not. And this is where people are making mistake. People just come in straight, they put everything, they don't do them things themselves, and they will fail. I'll be honest
yeah.
with you. right?
Yep.
AI will help you. AI is your buddy. AI is to support and assist you. AI is not there to do every single job for you.
Yeah, yeah. Dev, I think it's been a fantastic conversation. I think you've shown the depth and breadth, as you said, from your experience, and I think it's been great insights there. I've loved your food analogies, which we built on for organizations to understand the ingredients they need, the process they need to create a fantastic experience and to be able to benefit from AI. So thank you very much for sharing your insights.
No worries. Nice speaking to you, Andrew. Take care.